Cop, welcome to Break Time with Monte. Today's story, Explosive Blast in China. Fireball from blasts in warehouse of explosives ripped through night sky of China's main port city near Beijing, unleashing fires, shattering windows, and sending partially clothed residents running for shelter on streets strewn with debris. Tianjin, China. A series of massive explosions at a warehouse in the northern Chinese port city of Tianjin killed 14 people, state media reported Thursday, as witnesses described a fireball produced by the blast ripping through the night sky. An AFP reporter at the scene observed shattered glass up to 3 kilometers from the blast site after a shipment of explosives detonated in an industrial zone, raining debris on the city. Plumes of smoke billowed over buildings 6 hours after explosion, which occurred around 11:30 p.m. The explosions hurled and scattered containers stored at the port. Communist Party newspaper, The People's Daily, said 14 people were killed in the explosion, in a post on Chinese social network Weibo, adding in a separate post that more remained trapped by a huge fire unleashed by the explosives. The firefighters called to the scene were missing, Yan Xiao said, as 10 emergency teams and 35 fire trucks battled the blaze. The fireball was huge, maybe as much as 100 meters tall, said 27-year-old Huang Shiteng, whose house is close to the port area of the city where the explosion took place. I heard the first explosion and everyone went inside. Then there was a series of more explosions. Windows shattered and a lot of people who were inside were hurt and came running out bleeding, he told AFP. Much of the area surrounding the explosion is made up of construction sites for residential and office buildings. Worker dormitories, built of flimsy sheets of thin metal, were torn apart by the blast. The magnitude of the first explosion was the equivalent of detonating 3 tons of TNT. The China Earthquake Networks Center said on its verified Weibo account, while a second was the equivalent of detonating 21 tons of the explosive. Images showed residents, some partially clothed, running for shelter on a street strewn with debris. Photos posted on Weibo showed people carrying children, covered in blankets to safety, though their veracity could not immediately be confirmed. Dismal industrial safety record. China has a dismal industrial safety record, as some owners evade regulations to save money and pay off corrupt individuals to look the other way. In July, 15 people were killed and more than a dozen injured when an illegal fireworks warehouse exploded in the northern Hebei province. And at least 71 were killed in an explosion at a car parts factory in Kunshan, near Shanghai, in August last year. Manufacturing center and major port. Tianjin, which lies about 140 kilometers southeast of Beijing, is one of China's biggest cities. A population of nearly 15 million people, according to 2013 figures. A manufacturing center and a major port for the northern China, it is closely linked to Beijing, with high-speed train line cutting the travel time between them to only 30 minutes. Like Shanghai, several countries were granted trading concessions there during the 19th and early 20th centuries. Settlements which were administered by a foreign power, starting with Britain and France in 1860. Tianjin's city center retains a legacy of historic colonial architecture along with more recent skyscrapers. It is only one of 4 cities in China, along with Beijing, Shanghai, and Shenyang, to have the status of a province. And now, today's vocabulary. According to, administer, architecture, battle, billow, blanket, blast, blaze, bleeding, sight, kernel, concession, confirm, construction, corrupt, debris, detonate, dismal, dormitory, dozen, emergency, equivalent, evade, explode, explosion, explosives, figure, fireball, firefighter, firework, flimsy, grant, historic, huge, illegal, image, immediately, industrial, injured, line, linked, magnitude, manufacturing, massive, media, metal, missing, observe, occurred, officials, partially, patient, plume, population, port, province, record, record, regulation, remain, resident, residential, retain, scene, separate, settlement, shattered, sheet, shelter, shipment, sight, smoke, social network, social network. State, state, status, status. Strewn, strewn. Surrounding, surrounding. Thin, thin. Torn, torn. Trapped, trapped. Unleash, unleash. Veracity, veracity. Verified, verified. Warehouse, warehouse. Witness, witness. Zone, zone. That's today's lesson and vocabulary. You have a great day. I'll see you next time here on Break Time with Monte.